The shape of a motion path. How do you define a shape? The shape of a motion path. Well, to an animator, the shape of a motion path is the most important thing that there is. All right? How an object is going to get from here to there. Is it going to get there in a straight line, in a curve? What angle of curve? Is it going to sweep left, cut right, that sort of thing? All those things define the beauty of the motion, the shape of the motion. All right? Oddly, standard keyframing computer animation has no concept of that. There is no direct connection between the shape of the path and what is in your head. You can't define the shape of a path as a shape. All you can do is set keyframes. And that's where the technical side jumps in front of the design side. An animator has to set keyframes here, here, here in order to get a curved path. All right, so just by default, they have to set 3 keyframes just to get the path to be curvy in the first place. Unless they've got Bezier control handles, which is even worse, because now you have to, now you have to set 4 things. You have to set the starting and ending position. Then you also have to sort of move around, yank around these goofy handles in 3D space in an attempt to try to get your path to look the way that you want it. All right. In other words, it's a huge amount of work, pain in the butt. It's not design oriented at all. It's only a technician could have thought of this way of doing it. All right. Times change, right? Things get reinvented. This is one of those things that we completely reinvented. To us, the shape of a path is a thing of beauty. It's the way that an object gets from here to there, and it could be smooth or sharp or in any direction. And it's up to the animator, the designer, to figure out what that shape should be. All right, how an object gets from here to there is not an afterthought. Doing them as simply keyframes, you set up the keyframes and the shape is an afterthought. You get it? But if you set up the shape as its own controllable thing, then a whole new world unlocks. Here's what I mean by that. The shape of our transitions, again, we have 2 poses, right? An object starts at pose A, ends up at pose B. Now, the shape, the position of the object as it moves between those things should be a controllable event, right? It should be a controllable entity. And in ProAnimator, it is. What we use is we start off with arches, okay? We figured out a way of actually letting you control Bezier motion paths without ever grabbing a handle, okay? You set a start and end point. The arch control lifts the path. It lifts it out of a straight line. The arch direction lets you tilt the path. So now suddenly you're in a complete 3D space, getting these perfect motion paths no matter what angle you're looking at them. You get this? This is really a significant point, because if your object starts and ends directly in plane with the screen, you're cool. But as soon as it goes slightly off angle, you adjust a Bezier motion path with the screen in your screen space, and suddenly the handle yanks off in a goofy direction, and now your motion path is going in some off-kilter way that you don't want. Puts a funny bump in your animation, you hate it, you have to deal with it. It's just damage control. Keyframing is basically damage control. All right, so we've got arches, we've got the direction of the arch, and then we've got all these other great little handles too, like arch center. That sets the center of the arch, right? Whether it's closer to the beginning or closer to the end. These are just standard Bezier controls that you're very easy to do in a 2D environment, very, very difficult in a 3D environment. Arch center, overshoot, where the path goes past or starts and goes behind where it started from, or goes past and overshoots where it came from, where it ends up, that sort of thing. Flattening, all these things combine into a perfect path shaper. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you've got this amazing motion path that anybody can set up. Again, you don't have to be a technician, you don't have to train for 1,000 hours to figure out how to drag this slider or that slider, and yet you're able to get these beautiful, beautiful motion paths. Now, the really cool thing happens when you get to discover what you get to do with this completely new tool. For instance, if you're moving 10 objects from here to there, You don't have to move them all in the same motion path. These tools make it so easy to control everyone individually and yet in a coordinated effort that we get these things called like direction spreads, for instance. So it's not just a direction from here to there, but maybe we have a variety of directions. So now the center object goes from here to there like this. The one right next to it might go like this, the one next to it over like this, until you get this very nice spread of motion. So suddenly you've got this beautiful thing, this organic shape of motion with objects spilling out and then swirling around before they finally come to rest. All right, this is the sort of thing that having new tools enables you to do, which is literally, I won't say impossible, all right? Some hermit somewhere could, given enough time, could make something that looks like that, but you just wouldn't want to do it. The new tools give you such power over the organic flow of the motion that you just have to use it. You have to use it all the time. And you don't have to be a technical genius to do this. Anybody can do this because it's very simple sliders, a few menu choices, and you get this wonderful, wonderful ability to control the shape of the path.